Welcome to Media Morsels, the podcast about creativity and the media that feeds it. I'm Jessica, character and aesthetic connoisseur.
I'm Jamie, plot guy and the summarizer.
And I'm Mitchie, vibe checker and scene chewer.
And this week we have a special guest.
Hi, I'm Chucky.
And she will be our guest this week as we kick off, kind of officially, Alien Mayhem May, because I feel like Cowboys and Aliens...
It was
our bridge episode.
Yeah, I mean, there's technically aliens, but I don't know about mayhem.
There's a little bit of mayhem. People get blown up and, kidnapped and shit.
Yeah, but I think that we can do more mayhem.
Oh, yeah.
And that is what we're doing.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. More mayhem this May.
Yes.
Yes. So...
More May for this Mayhem May.
Yes.
Yes. More mayhem for this...
Mayhem May. Yes.
Yes.
Mayhem for this May.
Mayhem May.
Also, our audio quality might be a little bit off or weird this week because, once again, we have two microphones. We're in our living room. There's four of us.
We're making it work.
But
making the magic happen.
Yeah, but we are too poor to afford 4 microphones and an audio processing unit that will
handle that.
So, if you're interested in helping us out, support us on Patreon.
We don't have a Patreon yet, bitch!
Support the harrowing Patreon.
Support the harrowing of Minerva Damson Patreon.
Yeah, go find our Patreon for the harrowing of Minerva Damson. You know, that'd be great. If you're that interested. Hopefully by the time more people listens to this, though, we'll actually have a Patreon. So maybe listen to whatever our most recent episode is by the time you're listening to this, if it's not, right now.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't at all.
Otherwise, don't bitch about our quality.
Yeah, there you go.
We don't have a lot of listeners right now, so this is for posterity, when hopefully we do have a lot of...
I see.
Of listeners. And at that point, dear listener, hopefully...
We haven't even started the episode and we're already stuck on a tangent.
Hopefully, we'll have a Patreon.
This isn't a record. We had tangents at the very start of things, too.
Yeah, it happens all the time. Anyway, though, this week, to officially kick off Alien Mayhem May with kind of a bang...
Oh, God.
We watched Earth Girls Are Easy, which was made in 1988, or...
13 years BS.
13 years before Shrek. Media Morsels' Anno Domini is the before Shrek and after Shrek.
Yes.
So.
Anno Domini, what?
Anno Domini is Year of Our Lord.
It's what AD stands for.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So... like many of these movies that I am showing people, forcing upon them, I don't know. I grew up with this one.
Bafflingly.
It is... watching it as an adult, it's very easy for me to forget how fucking wild this movie is, because when you're a kid, you just kind of take that...
Well, you take whatever you're presented with at face value. Yeah, sure, this is happening.
But suffice to say, every time I show this to a new person and try to, sort of experience it through their eyes for the first time, I'm like, oh god, I hope they're still friends with me after this.
What have I done?
I'm just stick with it, I promise. It stays weird the whole way through, but just stick with it. You'll love it. I promise. So...
Is this one of those weed out movies where it's if you can't get behind this
if you can't vibe with this, you can't vibe with me.
Is that true?
I think it honestly probably could be a pretty good litmus test, but I didn't use it that way with you.
No, you didn't.
What did you use?
Dark City.
There were so many.
I mean, Dark City was the first one.
Dark City was the first one. We will talk about Dark City. But there were many others that followed.
Was Priest in there? No.
No.
Priest doesn't count.
Priest, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked Priest.
I mean,
I found it on my own because it was, stupid camp vampire movie.
Have you ever seen Priest?
No.
Oh, it's so good bad. It's so good bad.
There's so many. Oh my goodness.
Cien, there's so...
I don't
Should I
know
call you
this.
Cien or just Chicky?
The artist, also known as Cien.
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go. We fixed it.
Chicky, aka Cien.
Yes.
We're going to have so much fun showing you weird shit.
Honestly, I put Priest in the same category as Van Helsing.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Because it's stupid, campy, genre mashy vampire movie with some latent homoeroticism.
Yeah, I was about to say
bubbling
best
underneath.
understood
Isn't that
if
just-
you embrace the gay.
Isn't
Yeah.
that just regular vampires, though?
Well, yeah, like vampires are very gay on their own, but anytime somebody tries to do them like, oh, macho vampires, it still turns out pretty gay.
I feel like vampires are very pan.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're very pan.
I think that's like...
that's fair.
Yeah.
I just want a bone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just they want to bone and they want to suck. I'm gonna have to put a fucking an age restriction on this one. I know it.
It's already
we knew
horny.
that. We knew that going in because, much like Down with Love, this is a sex comedy.
Yes. Oh, so yes. We should probably just describe.
Well, no, the rest of us haven't done our first.
Yeah.
Well, we
Yes.
actually haven't even gone to the appetizer round yet.
Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and get that started.
So, like I said, this movie has basically been around almost since I can remember. I don't think like my parents let me watch it when I was like crazy young.
But then you can't remember exactly when
And I
you
can't
started.
remember. No, I do remember.
And it's 4 years older than you are.
This is one of those movies that as a kid, because it's a sex comedy, you actually just don't have the context for any of it. So without that underpinning, I didn't know what was happening, but I did know that it had like really bright colors and really fun like song numbers.
It was fun
and-
alien movie.
Yeah, yeah. There's some sets that genuinely look like Chucky Cheese sets or something. It was bright and it was fun, and the weirdness went right over my head because a lot of children's media is basically one fucking fever dream, right?
Yes.
And this is like that, kind of. So I don't even remember when I first saw this. I've just sort of taken
You were
this
born
for
knowing this film.
granted. We didn't watch it a lot. I do know that. I know that, like a lot of things, this is too weird for my dad.
Oh yeah,
This is way too weird for my dad.
Sherman sitting down to this one.
Yeah. So I guess my mom put it on from time to time, and it's just
Foundational.
foundational in a way. I think it's going to be interesting for me to talk about when we get to dessert round, like how this has influenced me, because I actually don't think. I think it's influenced me creatively, but not through the normal avenue of writing.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll circle
We'll get
back
to that.
So my first exposure to this film, this work of art, was via
Masterpiece, you mean?
No.
Cinematic masterpiece, as CN so wisely
That's
said.
her take. I'm gonna let it be her take. However, you exposed me to this. I was very resistant
Yes.
because
Yes.
I knew from the cover and the premise that wasn't my usual jam.
Yes. Except that I thought it could be. I was like, this seems like it could be just the right kind of zany for you.
In fairness, it has grown on me, but something like a fungus, it has grown on me.
The first time there was just too much. It was too glorious for your mind to comprehend.
It was, in fact, overwhelming. But, I'm a couple years in now. I've seen it a couple of times, and I can more fully embrace the redeeming qualities of it.
Yes. Of which there are many.
We'll get there.
Well, guess what, kids? This is my first experience with this movie, and it is quite bonkers.
You lost your virginity to Jeff Goldblum today?
I did. I would do it again, too.
Oh, good. Excellent.
We
Beautiful.
passed Jeff Goldblum around this friend group like a blunt. Like,
Puff, puff, pass.
we are in.
Yes, we would.
There's no passing on this puff.
I was... God damn it. I was going to say, Mitch, that I really hoped that you would like this or thought that you would, because I'm sure on the Hammometer, this is going to be, like, fucking wild. This seems like it should be right up your alley, since you like high ham. Since you like spam.
Yeah, we'll get to that eventually. But yes, this is my first viewing of this movie, and it's a wild trip, and I enjoyed most of it. There's a few parts in there that I'm just like, oh, and it kind of, but we'll get there.
By the way, we kind of missed this, but this is a zany sex comedy about aliens that land in Geena Davis's pool in LA in the 80s.
I mean, that's the summary.
Yeah.
No, that's a premise.
You
I took his job.
You took his job. We did skip the summarizing, though.
We're not there yet!
We're
still,
I'm slow
Chicky.
moving.
Chicky needs to give her appetizer round.
So this is my first time ever seeing and or hearing of this movie.
It's one of those movies nobody talks about.
Yeah,
And
Mitch at least had the context of hearing about it before.
And I mean, it makes sense that no one else is talking about it. But it is a cinematic masterpiece.
Thank you.
The vibes are immaculate. The aesthetic is everything. Like,
I'm so glad that you are a kindred spirit here. Honestly, well, it's like I both understand why people don't talk about it, and also I don't understand why. When this is out there, when this is so uniquely bonkers and beautiful in its really weird, cheesy way. Yeah, I don't know
how difficult was it for you to find the DVD? That's kind of
that's a good measure.
It was very difficult.
And it's not currently streaming on anything right now, right?
I think it is streaming on something.
Okay.
I think I've seen it before on like Amazon Prime or whatever.
You streamed it a couple of times before making the purchase.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
But
this does not break our record of the most difficult to locate movie.
No.
That is taken by The Princess and the Goblin,
which I paid $70 fucking bucks to get a I think it's not bootleg
to get a
DVD
maybe non-bootleg DVD
of Princess and the Goblin.
I mean, it was still in plastic wrap.
It was. So I do think this one, it's a very no-frills DVD, but I think that this one was like maybe one of the like small batch,
one of the 10
like,
copies
that they made. But otherwise, like, The Princess and the Goblin is fucking nowhere. There's also The Jungle Book, but the live-action one
I think that
Disney
produced.
produced.
To find The Princess and the Goblin.
It is still very, very difficult to find.
Well, yeah, because they essentially had another remake, like...
Well, and this one is superior, though, because it's, like, set in Victorian India.
All I remember about that movie was some dude dying because of quicksand, and I didn't get past anything past that.
Yeah, it was kind of horrifying as a kid. But also, I think the actor is Jason Lee, and he looks so good. He's a great Mowgli. Oh, and Lena Headey is in it. She's the gal. I forget her name.
The teenage girl he gets a crush on.
Well, she's not a teenager. I think by this point she's like a young adult in this
that's
movie.
Not the movie we're talking about.
And then there's
today.
Don Cleese, and then there's what's his face who plays Wesley.
Carrey Elwes.
Carrey Elwes. Everybody go find this. Go find this movie. And if you find it on DVD, please let me know.
This tangent brought to you by very hard to find movies.
Yeah.
A lot of movies that I love and that I grew up with are very hard to find because they're this kind of like
obscure nonsense.
Really good, really weird though.
Sleepers.
Yes.
Cult classics, so to speak.
I don't even know if there's a cult around Earth Girls Are Easy.
Viewers, you know what you must do.
Yes,
There's always a cult.
But guys, we can form the cult.
Yeah,
we can form it.
Let's make the Earth Girls Are Easy cult.
Yes. I mean, it's sex and peace and love, guys.
Yeah.
I think that's a great cult to be a part of. So.
And Jeff Goldblum shirtless.
Yeah. They made a lot of. They chose to have Jeff Goldblum shirtless many times in this movie, and he's like 1988, like kind of peak Jeff Goldblum.
Greater than or equal to Jurassic Park.
Greater than. So if you like Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic Park, check him out here because he's so cute. Anyway, let's get to the Mitch. What time is it?
It's time for
The summarizing. Oh my god, I did the summarizing this time, and you said the summarizer this time. Wow, we flipped.
Let's move on. I'm trying to summarize this episode. Okay, so this is late 80s LA in all of its polyester, new age, hairspray glory.
Yes.
We have Geena Davis as a cosmetologist in a tepid relationship with her doctor boyfriend.
He sucks.
He
does
sucks
suck. Yeah.
a lot. However, everything changes when suddenly 3 horny aliens crash land into her backyard pool after she's broken up with bad doctor boyfriend.
Dr. Fiance, really.
Dr. Fiance. The 3 horny aliens, Jeff Goldblum, Jim Carrey, and I think Damon Wayans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the Wayans brother I'm thinking of. Go on horny adventures across LA. It's great.
It's great. And you know what? I feel like there's this entire genre of
LA is
fucking weird movies that came out in the 80s and 90s because LA was super fucking weird. And
that was still a fresh joke.
Yeah. I think there's at least 3 that I'm like, these are all, like, perfect. I love them. Mwah. Like, I feel like if
the category
is LA is weird and it was made in the 80s or 90s, it's probably gonna be fucking mwah.
Okay, so
beautiful.
We've got, Earth Girls Are Easy, LA Story.
Shenanigans ensue.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was like, I wonder if Escape from LA, even though it doesn't take place in the 80s or 90s.
It does not have the candy coloring going on. You need the candy color.
Okay, there's at least 2, but I'm pretty sure that I think I'm like forgetting a third one.
Yeah, you got your busty blonde beach babes, weird astrology talk.
Sex pyramid, like sex energy channeling pyramid to put over your bed.
Dance offs.
Oh my god, the dance-off.
Because this movie, it's not a full-blown musical, but it definitely plays in the same playground as all the other musicals.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But does it with its own, like, unique flair.
Including Geena Davis lip-syncing with bad synchronization to some pop music.
As you did.
But I forgive it, because the scene is still funny.
I love every moment of this movie.
Okay, let's move on to the main course.
Let's go on to the main course.
Mm-hmm.
The movie opens with, guys, you just gotta stick with it, okay? If you're gonna watch this movie, and I really hope you do, you just gotta promise me you'll stick with it. It needs like 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, she's overselling how rough the beginning is. But we do we do have like a Star Trek the Original Series like
level cheesy
like spaceship, except it looks like a McDonald's Happy Meal
No.
Yeah.
It looks like a retrofitted Oscar Mayer wiener that's flying through space.
Yes.
Except it's like the space made from the Windows 93 screensaver.
Yeah.
It's like neon green and purple space.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that you see in this movie are these really weird Donald's Play Place spaceship.
The interior is also McDonald's Play Place.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And these 3 aliens, one's blue, one's red, and one's yellow, that are fuzzy all over, and they're wearing like
weird metal diapers.
Yeah, weird kind of space diapers.
That's weird.
And one of them is asleep in like suspension, and he's the captain.
The blue one.
But the other 2 are trying to make this like projector thing work because they're really horny, and the projector thing
they've been on their mission for so long.
Yeah, and the projector thing is broken, or it only works sometimes, and then when it starts working, it starts like projecting this like weird like booby alien cat lady.
Fuzzy booby alien cat lady.
Guys, please stick with this movie past this point. I promise you, it's so fucking weird, but it's cute and charming after this point.
Maybe they'll be there for the fuzzy booby alien cat.
I mean, honestly, there's an audience for that.
There is an audience for that. Anyway,
yes.
So then we go into this really awesome 80s title sequence where it introduces all the actors, but it's like, it has the funnest visuals.
It's kind of like old school, like 60s old sci-fi like novels, except they're animated.
It's ray gun gothic, but animated.
Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like ray gun gothic meets kind of like the same text language as Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
Yes. And isn't that just beautiful, listener?
It is.
Isn't it beautiful?
I mean, the opening sequence honestly like makes up for the weird horniness in the beginning.
Yeah, and again, like this movie is just like, it's super horny. And
That's
also,
the whole theme.
it's all about sex, and also it's kind of like, it's that 80s, 90s kind of sex comedy. So I could see some parts of this movie, if you like squint at it, you know, it might not be how we would do things now. If you remade this sex comedy now, I think there's like a couple of things that you would adjust for how we think about sex and sex comedies now.
Content warning 1988.
Yeah, it's 1988. But there's no, I don't think there's any like majorly offensive things.
There's like maybe one or two that's just a little
that you're just kind of like,
You wouldn't say that now.
Yeah, you wouldn't say that now. You wouldn't do that now. But it's not anything that's so egregious that you're like, ugh, specific trigger warnings here. It's not, I don't think, like that.
It's questioning, but not cringy.
Yeah. So, and all of it is done with such verve and, like, innocence and love that it's not one of those things that's, like, being gross, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not, I don't know, I wouldn't call it, like, raunchy. Like, it's horny, but it's not, like...
Well, it's so sincere about it.
Yeah, it really is. It's, like, sort of genuine and earnest in its horniness.
Yeah.
And they're just so delightful that you're just like, okay.
It's not skeezy.
Yeah.
It's not skeezy, and it's also very much like, yeah, people like sex, duh.
We have equal opportunity objectification, because we see lady boobies and man boobies, and
everybody is just trying to bone everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
all throughout the scenes, there's at least scene dressing of just playboys and pinup models and words of affirmation of how to bone and people reading books how to bone. It's just the constant
but it's
theme.
it's very sincere. It's not gross about it.
Yeah.
So actually, I think this is kind of a good point.
Yeah.
I am a demisexual person, and I feel like this is sort of like the aesthetics of sex that is fun to me.
It's playful, it's silly.
Yeah, it's playful, it's silly, it's like a fun thing. And I feel like a lot of things that center sex,
they get weird about it.
But this one,
weird.
But this one's just like, it's the aesthetics of sex, and I enjoy that. I feel like horniness, like excessive horniness and like horny jokes, when asexual people make excessive horny jokes, it's sort of like a performance like drag, where it's meant to be over the top and really fun and really exuberant. And I feel like this movie captures all of that, actually, personally. But if you're not asexual, you'll still really enjoy it because it's just like cute, fun sex.
I feel like it kind of almost moves in the same vein or like an homage to like 60s surf movies.
Yes.
And with like, obviously the sex turned up, but there were still plenty of horny jokes in those too.
In the 60s.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so back to how this movie is progressing. So after the like awesome ray gun gothic title animation, yes, we meet Valerie and Ted. And Valerie is sitting in her bed. She's wearing like her wedding dress, or she has her wedding dress laying out, and she's just kind of like trying it on. But she's also but she's also like, it's very late at night, so it seems like she's kind of been playing with this stuff, but she's now kind of waiting for Ted, her fiance, to show up. And when he does show up, she's like, oh, you can't look at me in this, it's like bad luck. And he's like, oh, hi, honey. And she's like, you're home so late. And he's like, yeah, it was another like blood and guts night at the ER. And he goes into the bathroom and he's just kind of like undressing and getting ready for bed.
And covering up this very obvious hickey.
Yeah. Right off the bat, we know that Ted
is a bastard.
Is a cheating scumbag. So, but Valerie is so sweet. I don't know if I'd call her, is she a bimbo?
She's a space cadet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Her friend's a bimbo.
And I will say, like, bimbo as in, like, the lady himbo way, not in an insulting way. Just like
No, she embraces that identity.
Yeah, I think she would say that she was a bimbo.
Yeah.
But Valerie, she's a space cadet, as you said. She's very awkward, very, like, happy-go-lucky, always running into things, very uncoordinated. That sounds familiar to...
Why is everyone looking at me?
But also, I am also that way, so I grok it.
Yeah, same here.
Am I the only coordinated one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
So he comes to bed after covering up his hickey, and while he was in there, she takes her, like, birth control pill, and she is, like, ready. She wants to jump his bones. And so she's obviously taken time to, like, look really nice and pretty when he comes home.
Oh, yeah, like, she's laying in bed, but, like, her hair and makeup is all done. Like,
Yeah.
Her curls are amazing.
Oh my god,
in this
yeah.
movie,
I mean,
too.
Geena Davis just looks good. She looks great in all movies.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I got lost there thinking about
Geena Davis.
Geena Davis in Long Kiss Goodnight.
Oh, yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
Is that on the list?
it is.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
That is my Christmas movie.
Yes.
Everybody loves Die Hard, and sure, Die Hard. If that qualifies as a Christmas movie, so does The Long Kiss Goodnight.
It absolutely does.
Mhm.
Anyway, Geena Davis looks like a total babe in all her looks in this movie. But Teddy is just not, he's just not into it.
I mean, his bone's already been jumped.
Yeah, pretty much. And he's just like, sorry, honey, I have to take a gallbladder out in the morning. Tomorrow, I promise. They're already to that stage of like, tomorrow, I promise. Let's schedule sex in.
I can pencil you in for Tuesday at 7.
Yeah. Which, you know, that's just the
That works
reality
for some
sometimes.
people,
Yeah.
But this is clearly like...
She really wants it. She really needs it. And he's trying to, like, pencil it in for tomorrow. And she's like, well, I'm going to be at the nail expo all weekend. And he's like, oh, really? Okay, well, after that, I promise.
Already plotting.
Yeah. And so the next day, she goes to work.
In the salon.
And this salon is, like, so 80s, 90s. I
Okay.
fucking love it.
I'm pretty sure this exists somewhere, but there's a pinball machine set in the 80s that's hair salon theme.
Oh.
Think of, like, blinking lights and all that nonsense, and
Like
you get the aesthetic choices.
The black and white checkered floor.
The neon with the pink and green neon. Like,
Yeah.
If you have ever seen the opening title sequence of Saved by the Bell,
Yep.
like, just
Yes.
imagine that and as a room.
Yep.
Yes. And so she goes into work and she is late. She's clearly, like, missed one of her early appointments. But this is LA, nobody's, like...
Nobody's on time in LA.
Yeah, nobody's on time. Nobody really cares. It's a pretty easygoing job. And she says hi to her friend Candy. Candy says, like, well, why are you so tardy this morning? And Geena Davis is like, well, I was up late.
I was up late with Ted.
Candy always has, like, the greatest lines.
Yes.
She's like, oh, did Dr. Doolittle finally do something? Or something like that. And she's like, no, he was dead on arrival, says Valerie, Geena Davis's character. And they're trying to...
Basically
Candy-
troubleshoot Ted.
Yeah. Candy is like, well, how long has it been? Like a week since you guys have had sex? Valerie is like, no, it's been 2. And yeah. And Candy literally, like, drops her coffee.
I can't remember, like, off cuff, I can't remember if the scene takes place simultaneously with him in the gym.
Yes.
Oh, yes, it does. So, like, so while they're discussing Valerie's emergency of not having had sex for 2 weeks, while she and Candy are talking about that, Ted is at the gym with his gym buddies and talking about how he's, like, super horny all the time, but not for Valerie for some reason. And, you know, he's like, I'm getting married.
And I'm gonna be a big sad baby about me.
Yeah.
There's also an interesting choice of scene setting in these 2 scenes. The salon is really fun, vibrant, colorful, very organically shaped, and just very poppy. And then you go to the gym, and the gym is all like brutalistic, like
Well, it's
straight
grays.
edges and
Yeah.
grays.
It's a
and
masculine
mirrors.
space, except for the women in it who are all wearing the very colorful
I didn't even
spandex, like.
I didn't even see
Do the
women
thigh
in
workout.
Yeah, and because he and his
Oh,
buds are kind of like eyeing
Eyeing
them,
them.
because,
God.
you know.
But basically everything about Ted is coded as bland and uninteresting
Yeah.
and Republican.
Yes, he's
he has,
voted
like,
for George Bush.
Yeah, he has like a Bush senior sticker on his car later.
Yeah, yeah. So he's talking about that. Candy is talking with Valerie about the issues at hand, or not at hand.
Oh my god.
And she's like, oh my god, you know, we need to make you into a whole new woman. She's like, that's what he needs to, like, spice things up. He needs a whole new gal, and we can make you into a whole new gal.
But-
So,
That's such a terrible, terrible thing.
yeah.
It's very like Sandy from Grease. Like, let's make you blonde. That will fix everything.
Let's make
Yeah.
you into a completely different person, because that is what he wants anyway, right? Right?
Yeah. Well, and
That
this
is so troublesome.
And this movie, rightfully, is like, that's not going to solve your problems, but we'll get there.
But there's a really fun musical makeover.
Yes.
There's a
sequence
musical makeover sequence. It is
with
super...
like song and dance with the other hairdressers dancing in formation and everything.
Yes, and like fun props and,
Yeah.
and things like that. And over the course of this scene, she gets waxed everywhere, and she puts blue contacts in, and they do her hair like a straight blonde or whatever. So she goes home, and she is waiting for Teddy at home, and she's in this like really cute pink lingerie.
Well, and she's reading
And-
tips out of this like how to make a love nest book.
Yes.
Where it's like, put a little bit of scented oil on a light bulb.
Yeah, so
Oh, God.
she's trying to like set the mood every way that she can. So she's got oysters and champagne, and then she's reading more tips. And in typical Valerie fashion, she means well, but she ends up kind of being a wrecking ball. So she takes, there's this tip in this book to put a little bit of your favorite scented oil on the light bulb, so that I guess it'll like fill the room with that smell. Well, she doesn't do
She dumps
just
half the bottle.
Yeah, she doesn't do a single drop. She dumps half the bottle, and it catches on fire. Like, the light bulb bursts and catches on fire. She also has, so it's not just the light bulb thing, she also has, like, in the book it says something about having, like, your favorite sensual oil, and she just
Like a
has,
massage oil, and she has
Oh.
like Wesson cooking oil.
That's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she tries to put out this fire that she has fucking started in her living room with this essential oil on a light bulb, and the only thing she has at hand is
The whipped cream that they were going to use for
yeah.
kinky purposes.
the whipped cream. And so she's like spraying that all over the lamp, and then she hears Ted coming home. So she rips the lamp out of the wall, which is covered in whipped cream now, and like goes into this closet to hide because she's gonna surprise him. And he comes in, and he has a gal with him. It's
Because
one of
he
the
thought she was
nurses.
gonna be out of town.
Because he thought she was going to be at the nail convention, and he's trying to sort of set the mood himself, and he is like, oh yeah, go make yourself at home. And he's already lying to this girl. This girl doesn't know that he is engaged, because he's like, this is where we live, and she's like, we? And he's like, me and the cat. Go make yourself at home. And then he goes into his bedroom, and he starts putting all of Valerie's things in
Like,
like
hiding
a
them.
sock drawer, or like trying to like flush them down the toilet.
Also, the cat is in there just eyeing
The
him.
cat hates him.
The cat is,
Absolutely. I love this cat.
yeah, judgmental.
Meanwhile, the nurse that he's brought in finds a book on the coffee table about like how to meet a man.
How to like please your man, and she's like, huh?
Uh,
And as she's sort of like wandering around, Valerie thinks it's Ted, so she like pops out of the closet and like grabs this girl, and she's like, eat me, I'm a cookie.
Oh my god, I forgot that
And she grabs this gal, and then she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't realize that Ted was bringing company over. It hasn't, like, clicked for Valerie yet. And she's like, I don't normally dress like this. And, like, the nurse is, like, super confused. And as she's talking to this gal who has no idea what's going on either, Ted comes out of the bedroom, and he's, like, wearing only a stethoscope
And boxers.
and yeah, boxers and like, I don't know, like a mask, a surgical mask, and he's like, here comes Dr. Love.
Well, and there's this great framing thing where there's this shot from behind him between his legs, and you can see both of the women, and you can see the moment he sees both of them, that stethoscope limply drops into frame between his legs.
And then he's like, oh, I didn't know you brought a friend, because he doesn't recognize Valerie yet because she has had a complete makeover. But by the time he realizes, she's realized, and they start fighting, and the nurse girl is like, I am just really not into kinky scenes. I'm gonna go. And she, books it out of there.
To this movie's credit, a lot of the times it'll frame the other woman as just, like, an inherently bad person or whatever, but this time it's just, like, she's just like, this is weird. I am out of here.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like an innocent bystander. It's like, oh.
Yeah. It is definitely not her fault. It is Dr. Love's fault. And they argue, and Valerie is like throwing sushi at him. It's a whole thing. And finally,
I was just going to make a comment of like the elderly neighbor with her her amplifier thing, because she's just like peeking out the window, just like eavesdropping
with like a satellite receiver to listen to the neighbor.
With her Marge Simpson haircut and shit.
Yes, all the old lady neighbors are all super nosy. So when Valerie throws him out onto the street with only in his boxers, he's like, Valerie, let me in. And then he's like, all the neighbors are watching. As if, like, not...
That's the only part he cares about, really.
Yeah, his appearances. And finally, she throws his car keys out to him. And she's like, just get out, just go. And he starts to drive away, and Valerie didn't really want him to go, so she like runs after him, and she's also in her like lingerie and stuff. And so there's just like this crazy
and the neighbors
scene
are like, woo!
Yeah.
The
And
tea was piping hot.
yeah, they were getting their tea. So then she goes inside, and
Musical number 2.
Yeah, musical number 2, she starts, like, singing about how love sucks and, like, wrecking the whole house in hilarious ways as she does it.
Taking his prized football and shoving it in the
Microwaving
microwave.
Yeah, microwaving it, using, like, some skis and a bowling ball to, like, smash his personal computer, which is, like, that small, boxy kind.
Pouring champagne into the fish tank, which we strongly don't recommend doing.
No, don't do that. That's mean to the fish. Those fish go through it in this movie.
They really do.
He did have a really weird attachment to them, though.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
He had...
Not that they should have suffered. But.
Yeah.
He cared about his fish more than he cared about Valerie,
yes.
for sure. So she goes to sleep, and the next morning she gets up and she's re-dyeing her hair, and she's calling Candy, and she's like, the blonde thing did not work. And while she's talking, the TV's on in the background, and the first thing that's on is this like really funny sort of General Hospital spoof thing of like, there's a doctor and he's macking on his nurse, and she's like, well, what about your wife? And he's like, she's in a coma. You're not. And they start making out, and it turns out that the patient behind them is his wife, and his wife wakes up and she's like, babe? And he like pulls out her life support, and she's like,
And Valerie shuts off the TV in disgust.
Well, she doesn't shut off the TV. She changes the channel to the like babes working out. And that's our scene transition back to the aliens.
Yes.
Where the aliens have caught the signal of this commercial, and they're like, whoa, there's hairless babes here. And they're like, who cares if they're hairless? They're like jiggly and round. And so they're like, where is it coming from? And they like zoom in on Earth, and they keep zooming in until they see Valerie like
in her bikini sunning by the pool.
Yeah, and then they start fighting over like the stethoscope thing. And
not stethoscope, it's a
periscope.
What it actually is one of those like coin-operated national parks viewing things.
Yes.
But spray-painted bright red.
Yes, like red and yellow. And they start fighting, and then one of them pushes another one, and they land on the controls and, of course, break the ship. And they start careening towards Earth, and that's what ends up landing them in Valerie's pool. And this, like, so their spaceship is, like, the size of, like, a car.
Yes.
Maybe, like, a really big car. And it lands in her pool, and she's just like, what is going on? And she thinks that she's so out of her mind because, like, Ted has left, that she's like, this is all a hallucination. And so she dives into the pool to, like, swim through the hallucination. Guys, this plot is, like, paper thin. We're not here for things to make sense.
No, we are not.
Just leave that behind you. So, like, this is all just, like, super duper cheese and camp.
Yes.
This is a ham and cheese sandwich.
Yes.
And she hits the side of their ship and she knocks herself out. So by this point, the captain alien has woken up and he's like, oh, she'll drown. There's this really interesting part because, like, remember, there's like 3 people inside this thing that might be the size of a car, and they're actually really small inside the ship. But there's this, like, platform they stand on, and then they get as big as they need to be, I guess. So
Beginning beam.
Yeah.
The beginning beam.
The beginning beam.
And so he gets bigger, he goes out, he pulls Valerie out of the pool, brings her into the spaceship, and when she wakes up, shenanigans ensue.
Yes.
And it becomes clear after her initial freak out that they're not gonna hurt her. In her attempt to escape, though, she pulls on this lever and it starts flooding their spaceship and breaks it because, unfortunately, Valerie breaks things.
All the time.
You also need to make a comment here about how all the aliens kind of, like, start mimicking some of
Yeah,
those
they're
speech
mimics.
patterns.
Well, yeah. So during her freak out, all the aliens are mimicking her sounds and her motions. And as it turns out, that's what they do. These aliens are really, really good at mimicking all kinds of things. So when she brings them up into her house, because she's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry I, like, broke your spaceship. You know what? We'll drain my pool. That'll fix everything. And so she's like, come up to my house. I'll make you lunch while I call my, like, pool guy. And she, like, calls the pool guy and she's trying to make them lunch. There's this weird and interesting musical number where they're kind of getting into everything and they're mimicking all the sounds that they're hearing. And
They start watching television.
So they're, like, picking up pretty quickly the language and things like that. The captain, the blue one, is picking this all up a lot faster than Whiplock or Zebo. They've introduced themselves now. So, like, Whiplock is the red one.
Red Jim Carrey one.
Yes, the red Jim Carrey one. The yellow one is Zebo, and he's Damon Wayans. And the blue one, the captain, is Mac. And he's
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Jeff
Yes.
Blue Bloom.
So they're doing this thing, which I actually thought this was, like, really clever and a great way of very easily introducing, like, how do your aliens adjust to human society? It's not that they've been watching them. They're just mimics.
And they watched a lot of TV.
Well, yeah, and the longer that they're there, the
better they get at
the
it.
better they get at it. So although Whiplock and Zebo are never there long enough to really blend in, they're always doing super weird shit in the background, which is hilarious. But Mac is the one who learns fastest of all of them. But I thought that was actually, I was like, damn, like, I know this happened in, like, a really silly movie, but I feel like if you put this in a serious movie, this would actually be a super handy way of explaining away how they...
The adaptation.
Yeah, how they pass in human society. But the pool guy comes over. Valerie is just like, oh yeah, this is, like, my new pool patio. And the pool guy is, like, clearly, like, a classic
surfer stoner.
Yeah, surfer stoner dude. So he doesn't question it.
He's like, yeah, man, that's gnarly.
Yeah. I do love Woody. And he's like, okay, man, well, this is gonna take, like, a whole day. And she's like, a whole day? What am I supposed to do until then? And he's just like, man, like, ride the waves, you know? Or whatever. But while she's out there talking to Woody, Ted calls, and he leaves a message on the machine. And Mac hears it, and it's basically him groveling and being like, I'm so sorry, like, you saved me from, like, making a huge mistake last night.
I need you to take care of me.
I need you, Valerie, and I'm gonna come by tonight and talk about stuff. Beep. And, like, yeah. And Mac mimics that back to Valerie when she comes in. And she's like, oh my God, he's going to be coming home tonight and you guys are here? And she's like, he's a doctor. He's going to like know something is different. Yeah. And he's going to dissect you. That's just who he is. So she's like, man, if only I had a bunch of Nair. And that gives her an idea.
Go to the salon.
So she goes to the salon, and Candy's there doing her makeup for a night out because it's a Saturday night. And Valerie is like, so could you do me a favor?
Don't freak out.
Now, don't be mad. Don't freak out. But there's some aliens crash landed in my pool, and I need your help making them human.
Just girly things.
Yeah.
Just girly things.
Well,
but you know what? Candy is a good friend.
Well, she tries to sit Val down and be like, to have a mental margarita, you're just freaking out.
Yeah. She's like, Ted is not worth this. Mel Gibson, maybe, but not Ted.
This was before Mel Gibson went off the deep end.
Yeah. So she doesn't believe Valerie at first, but then Valerie's kind of like, ta-da, here's these aliens, and she freaks out. But eventually Valerie convinces her to help give them a makeover. And it's funny because Candy is just like, so split ends are universal. She's like looking at their like fur, and she's like, what, there's no conditioner in outer space?
So while Val was also explaining this to Candy, there's an alien, blah, 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 there's like this really old lady that just passes by in the background, and it's just like, what did y'all say? And Val says, oh, nothing, I'm on drugs.
Yeah.
Just passes it off.
Oh, I'm on drugs. And the old lady is like, oh, okay.
Because it's LA.
Yeah, because it's LA. So, like, you know, this whole premise is basically could only happen in LA. I think that's the point. Or maybe New York City, but I feel like LA is the crazier.
Yeah.
In a certain way.
A specific brand of crazy.
Yes. And so Candy works her magic, and we get the like glow up sequence where she introduces each of them, and for Whitlock, who is Jim Carrey, she's like, I went for the surfer boy look, and he walks out, and honestly, Jim Carrey is so cute.
Yeah, young
he's
Jim Carrey
a
is
baby.
really cute.
Honestly, they're all pretty cute.
For real though, actually. Like, they are all super hot. But yeah, he's, I guess I was just so struck by Jim Carrey because he's like very cute and very baby-faced. Yes. And the next one that she reveals with a flourish is Zebo. And she's like, you are not going to believe this. And she like opens it up, and Damon Wayans like steps out, and he mimics her voice, and he's like, oh my God, you're like totally black. Like beneath all that fur. I guess she just wasn't expecting that. Which I don't know if that's a joke that would pass today, but I think it's a pretty innocent one. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, I saved the best for last. And she's like, get a load of Mac. And she opens it, and there's all this like sort of steam coming out of like wherever, like the tanning booth or whatever that they've been in. I don't know.
It's very much reading the same as like in the first Captain America movie where the pod opens and he's shirtless.
Yes, and so is Jeff Goldblum. He's shirtless, and he like comes out, and he looks up from underneath his like
blue steel.
Kind of.
Ooh.
Yeah, he looks up from under his like dark lashes, and his hair is like his black hair is tousled just so. I mean, it's
he also has guy liner on. And
yes, he does.
Just a little bit.
Just a little.
Just a
it's so good. So good. So he walks out, and Valerie is just like, whoa! And like there's an instant sort of like connection between the two of them. So anyway, she's like, okay, cool, you made them look like humans. Nice, let's go back to my house. And Candy's like, no, we've got 3 hot guys, and it's Saturday. They can be dates for like a few hours. And the whole time Valerie's like, that is not a good idea. But Candy convinces her, and so they're driving along, you know, just out in the streets, because, like, before cell phones, this is what people did. They drove down the main drag and talked to each other. Hit on each other and talked to each other, and like, they went out to be seen. And so they're doing that. The guys are getting a lot of attention. And it's really funny because Valerie's like, I just can't believe this happened to me. And Candy is like, what? Aliens landed in your pool? I know that's wild. And she's like, no, that I was going to get married to Ted, and now everything's all messed up.
And Candy's just like, oh my God.
She's like, girl, he's like not worth it. And she says, you spend so much time making Ted happy. Who's making you happy?
Which is a very good line.
Yeah, I was like, she is a good friend. But somewhere in all of this, Whiplock basically jumps from their car into a car full of other girls because he's horny and girl crazy.
But the girls are also Whiplock crazy.
Oh yeah, they're just like, hell yeah, this like hot surfer dude.
All he keeps doing is just repeating exactly what they say back to him.
Yeah, with that like patented Jim Carrey like exaggeration, which you would think they would think that he was making fun of them, but I guess they're just like, he's so hot, I don't even care. So they have to follow that car, and it takes them to this club, and it's like Chucky Cheese for adults, essentially. Like,
and not in the Dave and Buster's way. Like they kept the carpets and
yeah,
everything.
yeah, it's jam packed. It's a Saturday night. Everybody is dancing.
They kept the carpets and also brought the condoms.
Yeah.
So when they enter
There's
the
a
club,
concierge service with waitresses passing out condoms on silver platters.
yeah, that's what this place is like. And so, very quickly, Whiplock and Zeebo are picked out to go dancing. But Mac wants to dance with Valerie, but Valerie is kind of mad. She's just like, this is not a good idea. They're literally fucking aliens. To which Candy is like, hey guys, did you know these guys are like from Mars or something? And nobody cares.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh yeah, whatever. Like, ha ha ha, come dance with me. But she kind of goes out on the roof to get some quiet. And Mac follows her. Mm-hmm. And he's super sweet.
Well, in his time of like watching TV, he actually found
like a classic movie where a man is playing a piano.
And like on the way out following Val, some dude just like tosses him his coat because he's about to
they're about
rumble.
To get in a fight, so he like takes off his coat, and Mac just happens to be passing by, and he sort of
he picks it up, puts it on, and it's like this rhinestone glittery like
blue,
amazing
sequined blue
dinner jacket,
like tuxedo,
and he walks
jacket.
Over to the pianist and was like,
cool your thumbs, I'll drive from here.
Yeah, something like that.
Perfectly mimicking the movie from earlier.
Yeah. And so he sits down, and because he's a mimic, I guess he just knows how to play the piano. That's just like how these aliens roll. Because they have obviously very like musical ears. So he plays the piano, and eventually like Val looks over and she's like, oh my god.
I didn't know you could do that.
I didn't know you could do that. And she's chatting with him about Ted and her love life. And she's just like, I
thought he was Mr. Right.
I thought he was Mr. Right. And Mac is like, Mr. Right? Who is that? And she's like, Mr. Right, the guy all women like wait for, who is perfect and we go really well together and blah 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 blah. Yeah. And you're his right person too. And so Mac is very seriously listening to this. And meanwhile, in the club, Zeebo in particular
has a moment.
Is having like a moment. I fucking love this scene.
This scene is so good.
It's so good.
He's dancing with his girl and having a good time, and this other guy
this
comes
dapper
up,
man,
very dapper man,
who I think maybe he was like a public figure in like 1980s.
Celebrity at the time
in LA. I don't know, but
he has this amazing zoot suit.
Yeah, basically
white zoot suit with a red shirt under, and he has this cane and the spats and stuff. I mean, this guy.
It's the full retro look.
Yeah.
And he basically just comes up and steals Zeebo's girl. He's like, why be with the zero when you can dance with a hero?
And so,
she's like, okay.
Well, and so, like, they're sort of stealing her back and forth, and she's like, I don't care, I'll dance with both of you, to which the zoot suit man is like, no. And he's like, that guy can't dance. And he's like, here, I'll show you. And so, like,
they have a dance-off?
He and Zeebo have a dance-off, and honestly, I'm just like, the chemistry between these guys is like...
There's a handful of moments in there where it's like, are you two into each other?
I was like, you guys would be perfect.
Now kiss.
Yeah, now kiss. You guys.
Tension.
Yeah, there's tension. There's chemistry. Mm-hmm. They're like dancing around each other,
and really good.
Really
choreographed dance sequence.
Yeah,
I was just commenting, it's like, oh my god, the athleticism between these two is actually really good.
It's remarkably good.
Yeah.
But Zeebo eventually wins.
Yeah, he ends up on top. And...
Not that way. Yet.
And I think somewhere in here, Whiplock is also just kind of like hanging out with gals.
Yes, so Whiplock has a sequence. So this is one of my favorite sequences, because Whiplock is just like having one of those really long, narrow, like fancy drinks in front of some ladies, and his big, long chameleon tongue pops into the bottom of the glass.
Prehensile tongue.
To grab the last of the ice and eat it.
It's a cherry.
Oh, yeah.
Even more.
Oh, even better. And the ladies watching are just like, I'm gonna go home with him.
Yeah, one girl's like, I'm gonna take him home, and another girl's, I'm gonna take him home, and then
Candy shows up, and she's like, no, he's mine.
She literally grabs him by the face, and is like, no, I'm taking him home, and the other two girls are like, bitch.
And then we come back to this after the dance-off is over.
Because, well, actually, there's a small scene with Mac and Valerie first, where they're continuing to have this heart-to-heart, and she's asking him about his planet, and...
Is it nice?
Yeah, is it nice? And he's like, yeah, it's, like, named Jazeera or something, and she's like, if I didn't know you were an alien, I would say that you're, like, really cute. Mm-hmm. And they get really close...
to smooching.
To kissing. But then they hear Whiplock literally, like, yodeling. And they're like, okay, what the fuck's going on? So they run in there.
In the meantime, Whiplock and Candy are just, like, full-on making out in the middle of the dance floor.
Well, it's in one... There's, like, these cages.
Yeah, like these go-go dance cages. And they're in one of those making out.
Yeah, and then I think Zebo is also, like, dancing or / making out with his lady.
And Mac and Val are coming in being like, okay, no, we gotta get out of here. This is getting way too serious.
First, Valerie has to hold Whiplock's nose so that he has to take a breath. And then she's like, come on. And gets him out of the way. And Mac is doing the same to Zebo. And Zebo's like, no. But they're dragging them out. And all the girls run over. Because all the girls are trying to grab onto both Zebo and Whiplock. But all the girls run over to Candy and they're like, what was it like? Was it good? And Candy's just like, I want his baby.
Like just feral.
Yeah. So anyway, they finally go home, but then Ted shows up, and there's this whole... He thinks that the house has been broken into because it's like trashed and she's nowhere around. So he calls the police. And he's like, I'd like to report a burglary and maybe a kidnapping. But then she shows up, and she's got these 3 guys with her, and he's like, Valerie, baby, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, who are those guys? And she's like, they're a band. And he's like, you brought home a band?
I want a band.
I want a band from MTV. They're staying with me for the weekend. That's her, like, cover. And by the way, the aliens are doing, like, the weirdest shit in the background. Like, Mac is the most normal of them, but they don't really know it's normal. So they're doing weird shit.
Eat Ted's fish.
Yeah, at some point they've eaten his fish, which he gets really mad about, which, okay. Actually, that makes sense. But, so, like, Mac, like, comes up to, like, shake Ted's hand, and he's doing well. He's passing as human, and then he, like, kisses Ted's hand. and Ted's like, whoa, what's going on? And he's like, please leave. Well, yeah, so Ted is talking to her. He's trying to get them to leave, and she's like, no, I won them. They're my band. And then he starts making her really upset. So the aliens start doing weird shit to distract him, I think, or call him out, but they're aliens, so they don't know how to do that. At some point, Whiplock tries to eat one of his fish right in front of him, and Ted tackles Whiplock and is, like, trying to strangle him, and Valerie's trying to get him off, and that's when the police show up, and they're like, what is happening?
Which one of you called us? Who's the actual problem here?
Well, and you had Whiplock that's, like, on the ground, and he's, like, mimicking, like, ground exercises and doing...
They're doing the weirdest shit while Valerie is talking to the cops, but at the same time, it's LA, so I just don't think they filter it out. Yeah. And eventually, the cops are like, clearly, this guy filed a false report, and his girlfriend just broke up with him for a rock band. And Ted is like, you take that back! And he tries to attack them, and they're like, okay, sir, seems like you need to go cool off in the pen. And they drag him out.
Actually doing the correct thing in a movie for in real life.
So they drag him out, but not before he's like, the wedding is off, Valerie, this is it, this is the end. And he's being just a general tit.
Yeah.
Well, he leaves, and silence descends, and, like, all the aliens know something significant has transpired. And Valerie's just like, I think I just need to go be in my room for a minute. And she goes into her room, and Mac is like, I'm gonna go comfort her. Yeah. So he goes in there, and he's,
And then he goes in there.
he says to Valerie, is Ted coming back? And she's like, no, I don't think he's coming back. I don't think he wants me. She's like, I'm so sorry. I just am not feeling very good right now. And Max sits on the edge of the bed and he's like, I could make Valerie...
Mac could make Valerie feel good.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, no. And he's like, Mac could make Valerie feel really, really good. And she's like,
wait a minute.
Are you coming on to me?
And then she's like, no, this won't work because Ted and I... And then she was like, wait a minute, no, we broke up. And then she's like, we can't have sex. And he's like, what's sex? Like, just totally innocently. And she's like, well, making love, like, what people do when they like each other and they take their clothes off. And he's like, oh, okay. And he starts taking his clothes off.
And she's like, well, I don't even know if we would have compatible anatomy, and looks over. Well, we do.
Like, you hear like a zipper unzip, and then she's like, oh, okay, well, I mean, even if we're like compatible, like, wouldn't it be wrong? Because we're like, you're like an alien or whatever. But all of her reasoning is like crumbling before the majesty of Jeff Goldblum. And
Jeff Golddong.
Jeff Golddong.
And then she's like, I just don't want you thinking that Earth girls are easy. And he's like, well, what's easy? And then she's like, this
is easy.
And she kisses him. And so it's demonstrated pretty early in the movie that they have this special touch that they can do. That's like a euphoric...
A hypnotizing touch.
They accidentally made the cat have an orgasm, I'm pretty sure.
They kind of did.
It was weird, but they have a euphoric, orgasmic sort of touch or some ability that they can do.
Because of course they do.
And so they actually, like, in the middle of this movie, there's this, like, really artsy, actually kind of well done...
Like, kind of music video sex scene?
Yeah, and it's not, like, too explicit.
Well, yeah, they're, like, abstractly rotating through the dark.
What they do is they have them sort of, like, making out in this, like, sort of black room, and there's really pretty colored lights on them.
They have two lights fixtures. They have, like, a really dark yellow and then a blue that's kind of cascading on different highlights of their faces.
And then there's these rhinestones, like, falling on them and sparkling all around them, and it's actually a really cool effect.
Yeah, the alien sex glitter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and that actually underlines something interesting, like, the color scheme in this movie is extremely consistent, and they really lean into, like, primary colors for everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, I mean, as the aesthetic connoisseur, oh my god, this one is so good.
Well,
this is like
got the primary three aliens, the design of the ship, the stripes on the floor in the hospital.
Yeah, this is like, I know this is like a
curated.
Weird, cheap movie, but it's like, as far as aesthetics go, and this is a champagne. This was like full marks for committing. So they have this alien sex that is like the best ever, and it's a really cool, pretty scene. And then she has this nightmare. And the nightmare is also super funny.
It's really funny. So it's basically a mashup of every bad 50s and 60s sci-fi horror movie all together.
Yeah, it's in black and white. She's walking through her house and there's all these like weird aliens in it, and she doesn't know what's happening.
In her refrigerator.
Yeah, she doesn't know what's happening. She's really confused. She looks out in her neighborhood and there's like aliens everywhere, and this is just like way outside her comfort zone. And then Ted is there, and he's like
in his
groping in his Dr. Love outfit, and he's groping this like 6-titted alien lady.
There's a lot of boobs in this nightmare, actually.
And she's trying to get him to help her and pay attention to her, but all he cares about are his fish, which it's supposed to be that they've turned into alien fish, but it's actually just like exotic,
tropical fish.
Tropical fish. But he's like, what happened to my fish? And she's like, Ted, pay attention to me. And she picks up this giant phone and like is like, help.
Oh no, the phone too big.
Yeah.
Like very nightmare logic.
I love the like nightmare logic of it. It's just so fun. But she wakes up the next morning and she seems okay. And
but she also downs like 6 birth control pills.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't want an alien baby.
Or maybe that's how many times she like orgasmed and she's like, I need to take
one for
everyone.
each.
Yeah, just, to make sure. But they're actually having this really cute morning after chit chat, and she's clearly vetting him for dating material, because she's like, so what's your planet like?
Do you rent or own?
Yeah, what's your work like? Do you rent or own your house? But the pool has been drained, so now they can start working on their spaceship. And
Repair montage.
Yeah, there's a repair montage. They get it done pretty quick.
Jeff Goldblum is shirtless.
Oh, yes. He's shirtless again, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Because he's sweaty and working out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Valerie has been inside, and she comes out with some coffees, and she's like, oh, I thought I'd, like, bring these out to you and make some pancakes or whatever. And Mac is like, Valerie, like, we can leave now. And she's like, oh, I thought you would be here longer. And he tries to follow her to ask her a question, but she hears the phone. So she goes in to answer it. Meanwhile, Woody has come back over, the pool guy, and he's talking to, he's like, what is that? That's not a pool deck. What is that?
Is it like a spaceship or something?
And they're like,
it's
not
a car.
It's a car.
And he's like, where's that from?
Finland,
because they keep seeing, like, they saw a Finland commercial with Snow Bunny Babes or something. Whatever.
Which is where the yodeling came from.
Yeah. And Mac goes in to check on Valerie. But while he's gone, Woody is just talking to Whiplock and Zebo, and he mentions that he knows a whole bunch of beach babes. And they're like, babes. And he's
Show
like,
us babes.
Yeah, he's like, I could hook you up like that. And he's like, come on, I'll take you down to, like, whatever beach.
We'll surf the wild bikinis.
Yeah. And so they disappear while Mac is going inside to try to talk to Valerie. And Valerie's on the phone with Ted. And she's trying to tell him what she needs and what he needs to tell her. But of course, Mac sticks his head in the door just as she's saying, I love you, I need you, which is what she's trying to tell him to tell her or, like, do for her.
Yeah.
But of course, Mac doesn't have that context.
You have to have the misunderstanding in your rom-com.
Yeah. So he goes outside just in time to see Woody and Zebo and Whiplock
driving
away.
His car.
So he pursues them because he's like, oh God, these idiots.
Now what?
Now what? And thus begins another weird sequence of events. Number one, Woody is like, yeah, there's like a best blonde competition.
Well, and there's this
at the beach
non sequitur musical number where Candy, it's the best musical number
I
of the
fucking
film,
love
by
this.
the way.
Because I'm a blonde.
Yeah. Candy has a full-on, like, 1960s surf movie musical number with dancing and everything.
As she should.
As she
Good
should.
for Candy.
Yeah. But then it, like, concludes and it cuts back and they're still in the car, so this was some kind of weird fantasy they were having.
I think it was Whiplock, because Whiplock is actually still looking for Candy. And everybody keeps thinking he's asking for the food Candy, but he keeps asking for Candy. Anyway, he is fantasizing about her on the beach, singing about being a blonde and how blondes are superior. And it's a delight. It's actually a super delightful number. But Woody's like, oh man, I need to stop at the gas station. And there's this bizarre sequence of events, which, just watch the movie, but somehow, in this bizarre sequence of events, Whiplock and Zebo accidentally
hold up the convenience store?
Yeah.
As you do.
And then...
With a toy gun.
From a small child.
Yes.
Also at the convenience store.
Yes. At the gas station. And Woody's like, oh man, I gotta go drain the lizard. So he goes into the gas station where the cashier has just thought he's been stuck up. So he's like, get down! There's some guys with guns out there! And Woody's like, oh man, my buds are out there! Not knowing it was them. And there's another series of just, like, weird things happening, but eventually it culminates in Zebo and Whiplock driving backwards out
down,
of the
I-5 or something.
They escape the police, but then they're doing, they're...
All to the tune of a B-52.
Yeah, to the tune of a B-52 song. I think the second one of the film.
Yeah, honestly, B-52s...
And they end up, like, ramping off the edge of the highway and landing in one of those gigantic novelty sign donuts.
Yeah, so while they're doing this, Mac has finally caught up to Woody, and Woody has called Valerie, and he's like, hey, Valerie, so those guys that were in your pool, that band, well, funny story,
they just robbed
essentially.
the gas station.
And in the background, there's this woman who I don't know what her name is, but she was like an icon in the LA scene at this time.
She looks like a pink alien.
Yeah. She is sitting on her car, which they hit with Woody's car, and she's talking to the police. And she's like, oh, that looks like one of them over there, pointing at Mac. And the police are like, are you sure? And she's like, not really. And they're like, good enough for me.
Just tackle him.
You know.
Please.
Yeah. So they tackle Mac to the ground and they throw him in the back of the cruiser. And by this point, Valerie has shown up and she's like, well, you gotta arrest me too. And they're like, you haven't done anything wrong, Valerie.
So she picks up
The loose bumper.
Yeah.
She picks up a loose bumper from one of the cars that Zebo and Whiplock destroyed and hits their police lights with it so that she can go to jail with Mac. So
A
they're...
love story for the ages.
Oh, yeah.
Can we
It is.
rewind for a second, though?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Because Woody was on the phone with Valerie, and he was like, I gotta go, I'm getting my butt kicked, because the cops were beating him up.
Oh, yeah.
Police brutality.
Well, and also, like, while he was on
My
the phone,
favorite.
yeah, he was like, your friends held up the gas station. It was righteous. Or something like that.
Or he was like, it was wild.
Yeah,
something
it
like
was
that.
wild, man.
So, and he's so easygoing,
Yeah,
Woody.
he does not care.
So they are in the cop car, and the cops get a radio message in that they've found the other two perps, the other guys
They've
who were
been
driving
taken to
like
the
crazy,
hospital.
and they've been taken to the hospital. And they say which hospital, and Val is like, "That's the one that Teddy works at," and she's like, "That's bad. He's gonna like get him and like dissect him or whatever." So they have to figure out how to get out of the back of this cop car, and she's like, "Okay, Mac, do that love touch on these officers." And he was like, you want to have sex with them? And she's like, no. But they'll want to have sex with me, so they'll be like putty in my hands. And
And I'll
she's like,
manipulate them.
yeah. And she's like, just trust me. And he does. Because Mac is a real one. Because Mac trusts his lady and he wants her to be happy.
So this cop car also does not have the separator, back seat, front seat,
No.
cage thing.
No. So he reaches out and touches one of them first, and there's the little like love touch effect, which is actually really cool. I like it. It's very colorful.
It's primary rainbows.
And the guy like turns, but he doesn't turn to Valerie.
He turns to his partner?
and he suddenly kind of has like
The stereotypical gay accent.
yeah,
Which,
but he's like, you have the most beautiful blue eyes.
they're almost Elizabeth Taylor Violet.
Yeah, and the other cop is like, huh? And then Mac touches the other guy, and Valerie's like leaning forward because she's like, okay, my time is about to come. They're both gonna be like into me, or at least one of them will be. But then the other cop turns to his buddy,
He's like, oh, Joseph.
oh, Joseph, I never knew. And so they're like in love with each other.
So this is a fun buddy cop movie.
It really is.
I would watch
This
that.
is the only buddy cop movie.
So they end up pulling into the ER entrance, and notably, Val and Mac are driving, and the two cops are in the back seat by the time they get there.
Yeah, and they're
And
like,
they're like, you know, have fun house shopping.
yeah. Mac like leans back. They give them back the car keys, and he's like, have fun house hunting. And they're like, oh, aren't those two just the nicest couple? And like, it's really sweet, actually. I think it's pretty cute.
Yeah.
So that's how they get out of that bind. Then they go into the hospital, and they find out where Whiplock and Zebo are, and of course Ted has gotten a hold of them, and at this point he has listened to their hearts, and it was established earlier in the movie that they have two hearts, so they have two heartbeats, and Ted has heard this, and he's like,
I'm gonna be
oh,
on
man,
the cover of Time magazine.
yeah, this is
money,
crazy.
money,
Yeah.
You guys aren't going anywhere.
So
Just like Valerie said he would.
So Val is trying to get into C, where the other two are, in order to stop this from taking place. And the nurse is like, well, I can't actually let you in because that's like that.
Only
Yeah.
hospital personnel are
Yeah.
supposed to go back there. So then
She says, by far one of the cooler lines that I know. Getting in there means we're going to have to do something terrible to an innocent person. Let's do it.
they see a nurse passing by to get in an elevator, and Valerie says that, and they get in, and it's actually the nurse that Ted was.
Had over.
Yeah.
So Val fake kidnaps her with a fake gun that I think is a hairbrush in her
Well,
pocket
no,
or
it's
something.
the toy gun from earlier.
It's the toy gun from earlier. And, like, has her take off her nurse's uniform.
And they bring her into this, like, hospital room, and she runs over,
To
and
this
she's
guy
like,
in a full body cast.
yeah, and she's like, they've got a gun, and Valerie's like, no, I don't. But, well, actually, she doesn't tell her that yet. She's like, you can't get away. Strip. And she's like, I'm not gonna strip your, like, I'm not into you and Teddy's weird sex game.
Yeah, this comes up again.
And Valerie is just like, just take off your clothes. And the nurse turns to the guy who's in a full body cast, and she's like, push the call button. And he's like, which is kind of mean, but whatever. So she strips out of her nurse uniform and puts it on, and they find a doctor uniform somehow for Mac, and they go into the OR where Ted is, and he's doing this all by himself, I guess because he's greedy or something.
Oh yeah, he doesn't want to share the glory.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, hi doctor, what do you need? What is this? What's going on? And he's like, well, listen for yourself, nurse, because they're wearing surgical masks, so he doesn't recognize either of them.
And it's already been established that he's very bad at recognizing people, apparently.
He's very bad at recognizing people, and honestly, he's just not very observant of his surroundings, as is proved later.
Yeah.
But he's like, listen to their heartbeats, and she pretends to, and she's like, I don't hear anything wrong. She's like, well, why don't you listen to my heartbeat? And he sort of lecherously looks at her, and he's like, okay, I can do that. And like,
Max sneaks up behind him and mimics a double heartbeat sound into his ear.
yeah, and he does that when Ted turns the stethoscope to himself, and then Ted's like, wait, what's going on? What's going on? And like, all the while, Zebo, Whiplock, and Mac, when Ted isn't looking, they're making all these like weird sounds, and he starts to get really confused and freaked out. Yeah. And so he like runs out of the OR, and he's like, I think I'm losing my mind. So that's how Valerie and Mac spring Whiplock and Zebo out, and they go and find Ted's car because they need a car to get away in, and all the aliens pile into the back seat. But just, I guess, as Valerie is going to get in the car and leave, Ted comes running out, and he's like, oh, Valerie, there you are. I'm so glad to see you. I think I've been losing my mind. And she's like, oh, poor you, poor dear. And she's like, well, get in, I'll drive you home. And Ted does not notice the very obvious three guys like crouched in the back seat. But as they're driving to Valerie's house, he's like, you know what, Valerie, I've been thinking about what you said, that you need more surprises in life and you need more spontaneity. Well, I think we should just go to Vegas
and get married
tonight. And she's like, really? And he's like, yes. I love you so much, Valerie, and I promise that I'll never do the things again. And he's lying. Yeah, he's lying, but she believes him, and they kiss, and when they pull into the driveway, and Zebo, Whiplock, and Mac slip out, and Mac is very disappointed because he's like, oh, okay, like, she's gonna go with him. But you know what? Mac is not like weird and possessive. Mm-hmm. He's just like, I guess that's what's going to make her happy, and I just want her happy.
Mac is a good being.
He is a good guy. So they get into their spaceship, and they're doing all the early, like, the pre-flight stuff, while Ted and Valerie are packing to go to Vegas, and Ted calls the hospital to tell him that he's like, oh, I'm gonna go get married, and he's talking to this girl on the phone, and he's like, I need my shifts covered because I'm gonna go to Vegas to get married. And then there's like sort of like, up until this point, romantic music has been playing, and the music cuts off, and he's like, well, just because I'm married doesn't mean we can't date. To whoever's on the other end of the phone.
He is the worst.
He really is the worst.
The duck-shaped phone. Yeah, so they have a lot of weird phones.
Novelty phones.
I love their phones.
Novelty pool floats.
I want a Lips phone and a duck phone.
Yeah, duck phone is great.
Yeah. It's awesome. I love their house. I love everything. Anyway.
I still want a hamburger phone from Juno.
Hamburger phone is pretty great.
Hamburger phone is also very good.
Yeah.
Juno's such a good movie, too.
Yeah.
Ooh. So what I wanted was, I think it was in Clarissa Explains It All, she had like a transparent phone where like all the electronics inside were like bright colors.
The classic 90s phone.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure my sister had one of those, and yet like they had phone lines in every single room except mine because I was young.
Yeah. So. My grandpa had one of those transparent phones, and it was the coolest shit. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so Valerie has packed, and she goes out to tell Mac goodbye, and there's longing in both of their eyes, and she's like, I'll never forget you, I'll miss you, and he's like, I miss you too. It's so cute. And then Ted comes out the back door looking for her, I don't know, to ask a question or whatever, and he sees the spaceship in his pool, and he's like, what? And she's like, okay, Ted. I mean, they're not actually a band, they're actually aliens. And he's like, get back. And he's like, starts freaking out. And they're getting in this argument, and Mac is just kind of like, okay, well, we need to go now. And he's like, I guess she wants to be with him, because he doesn't want them to fight because he knows that'll make her sad. He like does the little like love beam thing, and they start like making out and whatever, and the spaceship starts taking off. But then Valerie pushes Ted off. She yells up, Mac, it didn't work. I love you. I want to go anywhere you go. And he's like, I'm Mr. Right? And she's like, yes, you're Mr. Right. And he has the cutest fucking smile. And he's like, cool, yes. And so he flies lower, and he picks her up and gets her up in the spaceship. And at this point,
doing
Candy,
the romance novel Carrey.
Yes, the romance novel Carrey. And like her skirt has kind of ridden up to like show a little bit of the
thigh level.
Yeah. It's very, like, Ray Gun Gothic, but, like, romance novel cover.
Which, honestly...
And then Candy comes in.
Yeah, Candy has come over, and she's like...
You guys need some margaritas for the road!
Yeah, and then she's like, Valerie, what are you doing? And Valerie's like, I'm going with them, Candy. And she's like, are you sure? And Valerie says, yes, I'm sure. I'll miss you. And Candy is like, okay, well, call me. And she tries to, like, throw a margarita at them.
A canned margarita.
And she misses, and it hits Woody, who I guess is in, like, one of the other bungalows next door. Also, the old lady who has been spying on Valerie the entire time is in her backyard, and she's been looking through the fence at the spaceship. And she's painting it.
Yeah, it was during the repair sequence earlier. She had been, like, oil painting the spaceship in the drained pool, and now she's, like... Well, in this final shot, as they're, like, lifting off into the sky, she's just, like, cheering them on, and I'm convinced this woman's an alien, and that hair is disguising a cone head.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about hair disguising cone heads later.
Yeah.
In the next film.
In the next film, yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, shit.
But then Mac and Valerie fly off. I kind of wish Candy had joined.
Yeah, Candy and Whiplock.
Yeah, I was voting for those crazy kids.
Candy, Whiplock, and
Zebo and Zootsuit. That would have been...
I was shipping all of that.
Honestly, yes.
And they fly off, and they live happily ever after, because this is not, like, a complex movie. This is just, like, feel good. And clearly, like... whatever aliens these guys are, they're just
chill.
They're chill. They're just peace and love, like of all kinds of love. They are. If he brings her back, it's clearly not going to be too wild. Yeah. So anyway, so that's the It's kind of hard to explain, but we skipped over like so many bits. Mm-hmm. It's all funny. The dialogue, I fucking love the dialogue. It's so, like, it's not witty in that classic Hollywood sense, but it is very funny.
Well, yeah, it's not classic Hollywood witty, and it's not Whedon witty either. It's its own brand of, like, clever arch sex jokes, or sometimes very blunt, heavy-handed sex jokes.
It's almost on a similar vibe as Down with Love. But like not so sharp, not so like always on the right point. It's
like Down with Love was like a very finely tuned machine, whereas this is more a collage.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say collage is actually a really great way to put it, because if there's one place where I felt like this movie probably could have used some fine-tuning.
Some editing, maybe.
It's the pacing. The pacing is a bit odd.
Well, because it feels like the movie's going to end, and then there's a whole other arc where they're on the highway stealing a car and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, there's a fourth act?
Yeah, it's like, you think that the ending is going to be like the Mac and Valerie are going to have sex, and then she's gonna like leave with him. That's what you think.
And it does go there, and then steps back.
Yeah,
just kidding.
Yeah, just kidding.
They have sex, but then we introduce this like wrinkle where they have to go get Whiplock and Zebo, and there has to be like this misunderstanding that then gets cleared up and blah blah. So yeah, the pacing is a little bit odd, but
And the sequence of events is very loosely strung together.
Yeah.
But that kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah, it kinda
Because it's
doesn't
in
matter.
Service to the gag, the vibe, the mood.
It's just funny, you
Yeah.
know, and it's
Rule
fun.
of cool.
Rule of fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
real fun.
It is, and it's just so unpretentiously fun.
Well, yeah, it's sincere. It, like,
Yeah.
none of the humor is like, oh, ho, ho, we know we're being stupid, look at us.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, this is dumb. Be dumb with us.
Yeah, we invite you to be dumb, and
That could be a tagline for this show.
Yeah.
We invite you to be dumb.
It's accurate.
you will lose brain cells listening to this.
Yep.
But none of the characters are very complex. So for me, generally, subjectively, I think character-driven narratives are
Well, they're
the
your favorite,
best.
yeah.
They're my favorite. But they are not objectively the best. There are many different ways that you can tell a story. And this story is just like, the characters aren't complex. The plot doesn't even make a lot of sense. Like, it's very, like, almost dream logic of
Yeah.
loose association stuff. But it comes together, and I think it's successful. And as CN so aptly put it, it is a cinematic masterpiece that has been ignored.
Yes.
So, for this not terribly substantial cotton candy movie, should we go ahead and roll into the dessert round?
Well, does anybody have any other thoughts about any of the technical aspects? Like,
Oh, well.
Oh, yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah. So I did early on, I mentioned that a lot of the aesthetics and like the costuming and just a lot of that felt early 90s, almost Power Rangers aesthetic of like costume design.
Well, yeah, like big, shapy plastic pieces.
Big shitty
Yes.
plastic pieces, people wearing like the motorcycle helmets and like
Weird head orbs.
but like everything just felt it sort of still worked. And
Yeah.
it still looks really good compared to like some of the things we have now.
It's Saturday morning cartoon, but make it horny.
Yeah.
or it's like if you took a 1960s beach movie and a 1950s horror movie, like monster movie, stuck them together, and then took them to Chucky Cheese, McDonald's, and Burger King,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Well-
added that in.
Caveat: McDonald's in the 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Not current
Yeah.
McDonald's because it's kind of gross. And,
80s, 90s, Burger King, McDonald's, Chuck E.
Play place.
Cheese. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, early Chuck E. Cheese, the good Chuck
Yeah,
E. Cheese.
the good kind. That was like the Thunderdome for children.
Cheesiest.
See, I never really got to go to. I think I got to go to Chuck E. Cheese like a couple of times, but I
got to
never
go to
really.
an off-brand Japanese version of it.
I never feel like I got to like experience the full unhinged chaos.
Yeah.
Dude, okay, so the reason why it got so like it got nerfed hard after
Well, it was a
like,
liability
2000.
thing,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
there were so many lawsuits and so many kids got hurt and like broken arms and stuff. But like
I mean, I shouldn't laugh because like it's not
that's the-
funny when kids
that's-
get hurt,
that's
but.
the good stuff.
I mean,
But
a lot
those
of
kids, they formed core memories,
mean-
and they weren't necessarily bad. They're like, remember that time when I went to Chuck E. Cheese and had the greatest time? I also broke my arm, but that was part of it.
A lot of formative childhood experiences can involve severe injury.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean
I'm pretty
it's
sure.
bad.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like at least 3 people that I knew in elementary school broke their arm or their leg on the skating rink. Like it just
But that doesn't mean they never skated again and they didn't have a good
Just how
time.
you do.
That's just like childhood, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get the wind knocked out of you on the playground, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And you just get up and, walk
Keep
it off.
going.
Yeah.
Apparently, I really missed out on Chuck E. Cheese.
See, I
still
did
never
too.
been
I think
one.
Mitch was the only one here who had the full experience. Because, like I said, I had the off-brand Japan version with some military kids having a birthday off base.
I'm pretty sure there's so many like petri dish like
Oh my God.
stories that you could imagine too from those play places because they did not sanitize those.
No.
Okay.
Well, and you
Pee
can't.
everywhere.
You can't
You really
sanitize every single ball in the ball pit. You can't
Yeah.
do that. Like, so it's just, but you know what? That's where your kids get inoculated to all kinds of gross germs.
If there are any, like, play place cleaner people out there,
Oh,
please,
can you?
Yeah, like, fill us in and tell us how exactly you managed to
Can
clean
you
some of that
imagine?
Or just tell us
the
your
horror
stories.
Yeah, the horror
What did
stories.
you find in the bottom of the ball pit? Was it a body?
Probably like teeth.
I can
Yeah.
imagine.
Just go inoculate your child by marinating them in the ball pit.
Oh.
But yeah,
It's not a Media Morsels episode if I don't say at least one thing that's extremely cursed.
Yeah.
yeah. But you know, hotties all around.
Yes.
Geena Davis.
Oh.
I don't know who plays Candy, but she was pretty cute. And then young, very young, like baby Jim Carrey.
Prime beef Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, and Damon.
And prime Damon Wayans.
Yeah, prime Damon Wayans.
honestly.
So,
And Zoot Suit, whoever he
Zoot Man,
was.
yeah, yeah.
Zoot can get it.
It's just a fun time. It is going to the Chucky Cheese as an adult. It's a weird, dream logic, crazy experience.
Alcohol-infused cotton candy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this is a pretty straightforward.
It's a light
one.
and fluffy film.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, well, with that, I guess we'll go on over to the dessert round.
Cause I'm a blonde, yeah, yeah, yeah. Cause I'm a blonde, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Alright, so as I said earlier, I feel like this movie has influenced me in a way, but it's not in a writing way.
Okay,
Because
break that down for me.
there's not a lot, like, going on here,
Well,
right?
There's barely a plot, and there's not much characterization, so...
It's just, like, it's fun.
Yes.
But aesthetically, I think that's left the most impression on me. So, I fucking love dressing like the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
And I've always loved that. But also, I think I would love someday to be involved in the making of movies, right? All kinds of movies, like all different genres. But I feel like this one, again, it's such a weird movie, but cinematographically, and also the way that they used props, it looked kind of cheap, but it was like that perfect 90s way that really fit with the rest of the aesthetic.
It was coherent.
It was coherent, and it was just really, I don't know, like if I was to ever make like a really fun, really over the top kind of movie one day, if we were to make Route 6.6 into a movie,
Yeah.
Your-
I'll explain that in a minute.
your podcast in development, if we were to make it into a movie, I would take notes from this.
Yeah.
And there's so many different like projects that I could see that I've thought of in the past that I never developed as a story because like it's outside of my normal like writing zone. It's not that I couldn't write it, it's just that
It's outside of your comfort
that's
zone.
it's not even that. It's just like that's not what I reach for my creative stuff. I tend to get into, because I'm more character driven, into the nitty-gritty of character stuff. This kind of, it would be interesting to think about how you could marry this aesthetic to something that actually has a lot of character meat on its bones. I'm sure it could be done, right?
I don't know. Because, like, you need to leave so much room for the aesthetic.
Yeah. The aesthetic
It needs to
up,
take up space.
Yeah. But anyway,
And
but
space.
but it's not something like I've tried to write before, because it's such a visual thing that if I was to do something visual and I was going to do something fun and not more
The grim and gritty you often go for.
yeah, then like this is one of those movies that'd be like the core memory. That would be the seed of what I would do. I could probably name, I don't know about off the top of my head, but like there are several other movies that if I was going to do something really fun and funny, and just for the sheer fucking joy of it, that I would draw from those movies to make this visual story. And I really feel like a movie or a stage adaptation is the only way that you could do something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of that made sense.
No, it did.
But
To me, at least.
someday I need to indulge more in just doing, like, the...
Silly for silly's sake.
Yeah, the absurd but joyful. I mean, I keep saying that in so many of these episodes, so someday I really need to do it. Maybe sooner than later. The thing that I just wrote for the interseason for the harrowing of Minerva Damson is probably the most...
It's the most lighthearted thing you've written.
Yeah. Or that I've completed, maybe.
Yes.
I've
aside from, like, some concept sketches.
Well, there's Gardenvale.
Yes.
Which I freaking love. Actually, you know what? I take it back. I feel like this movie could also have influenced one of my stories that's very sort of bright, colored, aesthetic, 1960s...
Mod weirdness, like ray gun gothic kind of story that I have been toying with in the back of my mind, but haven't actually invested the time to complete. But yeah, this has inspired me, but it's in a very sort of visual medium way, and I haven't gotten to play with that yet. But I want to, so so we'll see. We did put out our first Media Morsels sort of ad on Instagram that we filmed here at our house and put together. Jamie and I did the filming and, I don't know, like acting parts, and such as it is,
and developed the visual style with Mitch. And I look forward to being able to do that even more
zany bullshit,
because we have plans to continue with the zany sort of short films, maybe you might say. So we'll get to experiment a bit with that, and I will already, many of the thoughts that I've had for those like small ad spots, I could say probably have drawn inspiration from Earth Girls Are Easy.
Yeah, so. I can see it.
All right.
Well, Jess already kind of sniped mine. So I didn't really realize it until I rewatched this movie, but one of the projects that I've been developing in the background that I have archly alluded to before, but Jess already stole the title drop from me.
I thought we had said it before.
Nope.
Well, I might be able to cut it out. I'm sorry. If I can't, then I'm sorry.
Well, we're working on this podcast idea that I'm writing up called Route 6.6, and it's kind of like if you took a diner workplace comedy and spliced it with Futurama, and surprisingly, this movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't really realize how much of an impact it had had on me in terms of, like, the crazy, oversaturated ray gun gothic aesthetic. But it really got nailed home for me during Val's nightmare sequence, actually, with, like, all the, like, 50s aliens jumping rope in the streets and shit. And I was like, oh, yeah. I pulled on this.
Well, and it's funny how that works, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's like it's composting in the back of your mind, and then something sprouts out of it, and you're like, oh, that's where that came from.
Yeah.
I threw that carrot away 6 months ago.
Yeah, which is why I always say, like, even if it doesn't seem obvious to you at the time, every bit of media that you consume, it is, like, teaching your brain something, and your brain is kind of putting it back there to compost, or to put it more in a more savory way.
A broth.
Yeah, to stew.
Marinates.
Yeah.
And marinade and the deepen the flavor, make it more complex. Like, that's what's happening every time you feed your brain a new kind of media. And it might not leave a big impact. It might just be very small. But it's all kind of there.
It might be that dash of salt you need.
Yeah.
Let all those flavors just get to know each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're hoping to start dropping episodes for Route 6.6 like later this summer.
Yeah.
That is currently our soft target.
Yeah.
And we'll see where it goes.
I feel like all targets for podcast stuff are kind of soft in this household because life happens.
Just in general.
Like, most of us have day jobs away from this, and for me, I'm doing, like...
You're juggling a couple
I have
of
a lot of
things.
projects, so it takes a lot of energy, and I'm doing, like, a surprising amount of work. I was looking up how much money audio engineers or just editors or something make, and that's just, like, one aspect of my job. according to the internet, they make on average like $50,000 a year. And I was like, that's just one aspect of what I'm doing. And I'm not making $50,000.
No, you're making far less than minimum wage currently.
Yeah, so it's like, if I put all the jobs that I do together and actually was being paid for them, I was like, damn, I would be making, I think, over 100K.
Maybe.
When I put all the different things I'm doing together, if I was actually getting money for them.
So please support us on Patreon.
So please support us.
We don't have a Patreon.
We'll launch one soon.
Yes, that would be very, very appreciated. It would make me feel like...
You're getting compensated for your labor?
Yeah.
Media Morsels, The Quest for Money. Not even a
Quest
sequel.
for more money.
Not even a sequel yet. It's just the first one.
Nah.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to take a small moment to recognize some of the weirder background things that happen. So, because it's LA, you have weird things like a weird-ass monster truck mobile home, like
Yeah.
in one of the earlier scenes.
But with just like a regular ass house built onto
Yeah.
it with like
Or, like,
shingles
even-
and everything.
Yeah.
Even like a play place, little like the kind of little house you put in your backyard,
Yeah.
like that's what's on this monster truck.
Yeah, it's a monster truck, but it has a tiny home just attached to the back because, of course, and like all of it looks really good. Like the trim is really cute.
But why is it there?
But why is it there?
It's just there.
Because LA.
Because it's
LA.
And then you also have like the zoot suit guy who just kind of comes and stumbles in.
Yeah,
and
he's
just
like a
I'm just gonna come in and just steal the scene for a little
Pink
bit.
alien lady.
Pink alien lady. You have the weird ass neighborhood lady, watch lady,
The old nosy grandma neighbor.
who's probably an alien. Like
I'm
just
convinced
those
she
little
is.
bits that just add so much character and just development to your overall story.
Yeah.
It's just sprinkles like little bits of parsley
I would
on
say
this fine lasagna.
I would say they don't develop the story or characters at all,
but they
add
reinforce them.
Yeah.
but they add something
It's dimension.
that extra je ne sais quoi.
They add dimension to the world, and they add like actual living things happening that have their own stories.
Quirky characters.
Yeah.
That have their own stories, their own plot lines, their own lives, just in the background.
Well, and yeah, a lot of stories that neglect that aspect end up feeling kind of flat. And
Yeah.
weirdly, I don't know why this is the example that popped into my head, but Tenet popped
Yeah.
into my head. Because, there's the main characters, and, the story is deeply involved with what they've got going on, but the rest of the world basically doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And even though it's like, oh, this will end the multiverse, it's like the stakes don't feel like anything, really.
Yeah. So I would say what you're describing is there's these side characters, but it's also quick characterization.
Yeah,
And-
the efficiency of it all.
Yeah.
And that takes craft. It takes skill, and it's kind of funny to see it done so well in this like kooky zany movie. Really.
Yeah.
Also, it was said earlier, but I like aspects of Woody. Like, I love his beat up piece of crap Packard that he hauls.
Well, that's because you want it.
Yeah, I want it. Like, he just comes in to clean the pool, but like, what else does he do?
He
like,
doesn't-
He
doesn't
smokes
have to.
weed.
He
He surfs.
and
And he gets babes.
He gets
he
babes
gets
in
babes.
between his swimming pool
And,
jobs. God, I wish I could
Yeah.
see. This takes place in the 1980s in LA because this beach bum guy can afford to live in LA.
Yep.
Just
Like
occasionally.
in a nice part of LA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
occasionally cleaning pools, and I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
I want that.
He might actually live in his car, I think, maybe.
No, he has a house
He has a
later
house.
on.
Oh God. Yeah, no, I want to give a shout out to Woody.
Could you see this creatively influencing you as you go on, in any obvious way?
Just making sure that your world is lived in and you have characters that live in it.
But,
like
designiness, Mitch. This movie is designy.
Design the bird, Mitch.
here's my thing is like I have cutesy like woodland critters.
Yeah, your style is
this
more
vibe is not my vibe.
Yeah.
This vibe is Panda's vibe.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and Jess's
100%.
vibe.
And Jess's vibe.
She loved it when we watched
Like
it.
that glossy plastic finish on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so
Whereas-
excited for the Barbie movie, by the way, because I think the Barbie movie is going to capture that.
So I've done sort of a a character turn myself in recent years, where I used to be like the sort of minimalist Japanese design, stainless steel, aluminum, and all that. And now I've learned to embrace color. I've really gotten silly with it. And, you know, both of them have their place and their value, but I'm glad I've broadened my horizons.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you have too. Because I couldn't live in a house that was that, like, sleek.
You should have seen my dorm rooms
sterile.
in undergrad.
Yeah.
Immaculate at
Yeah.
all times.
Well, I saw your apartment, like your bedroom in your apartment, which was pretty bare, and I was like,
But at least it was
That's
clean.
not gonna do.
Yeah, like, it was tiny and clean.
So,
Yeah.
but okay, yeah,
That-
all right,
that's
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, it's not necessarily my cup of tea, but
Well,
it is
you're
somebody's
more
and
like-
I can appreciate it.
Cozy Jan Brett illustrated woodland animals.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie doesn't have enough fuzz.
No,
Because they
it
shaved
need-
it off.
They shaved off the character design and they made them humans. And I'm like,
See, I feel like if
Well,
if,
the
if
percentage
this,
of the audience that would want to fuck the furry version is smaller. Not non-existent, but
Yeah.
smaller.
see, I was gonna say, if you wanted to pass these guys off in the modern day, you wouldn't even have to shave them and make them look human. You'd just be like, oh yeah, sorry, these are like my roommates and they're furries.
yeah.
These are their fursuits, and Woody would just be like, okay, hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
They might like actually lean into it a little bit harder and
Yeah.
like give them actual like, you know, mascot heads.
I feel like Woody would be like the kind of bro who'd be like, oh yeah, so what is your fursona, man?
Yeah,
And
he would, like, ask.
like actually,
He would show an interest.
yeah, which may be why Valerie would be like, okay, actually, we need to go make you look human because you guys can't answer these questions. You don't have the vocabulary.
Can
It
we
might get
pitch a
weird.
remake?
Propose a modern day remake
No.
of this. Oh shit!
Oh, God.
I don't think you could do it.
Not in the same way. However,
They would be rave girls.
Oh,
Like the colors would be like.
Yeah, I can
Okay,
see
well,
it.
actually,
Well, let
yeah,
me start
get
a
in it.
screenplay.
This feels like this is also one of those scripts that would be really fun to actually gender flip.
Yes.
Like, I would-
Earth boys are easy.
Yeah.
Or are they lesbians? Space lesbians.
I mean-
space lesbians.
Any
Lesbians.
version of this movie, actually, I would take.
Yeah.
As long as it committed to being as fucking bonkers and colorful and weird, surreal dream logic as the first one. Like, that, do not... Hollywood, don't ruin that. Don't take it away. Like,
Just-
that's the part that
You
like,
cannot
makes it
do
great.
You cannot do a darker and grittier version of this.
No.
It simply would not work.
Do the horny, just don't make it a porn.
Or do. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, do it, you cowards. Make it NC-17.
that'd be really funny.
Do it.
Blue man group dongs.
This is what it was
Watchmen already
supposed to
did
be.
Yeah.
It is your turn for the dessert round.
Yes.
Oh, goody. I was just gonna say that thank God I didn't see this movie as a child because I would have made it my personality. Geena Davis was also in Beetlejuice in 1988, and I did make that my personality
That's
and
fair.
my entire aesthetic. I wear a lot of black and white stripes. It's fine. We don't need to discuss it. But imagine if it had been this movie instead.
What if you smash them together?
Oh my God.
Good. They're compatible.
Yeah.
They are.
That man, that
That
would
might
have
be a
unlocked
thing.
a new. It could still influence you. It could still become your
I
personality.
still have
Stephen.
time.
I will support you in that endeavor.
Any other thoughts?
Nope, that was it. That was all I
Okay.
had.
Yeah, I respect that.
Well, okay. So I know we have the hamometer, which we'll do in a sec, but are we going to introduce the cheeseometer? Because there is a difference between ham and cheese.
There is.
There is. And we've discussed this, like, briefly. but-
Yeah.
There was mention of Velveeta slices in this movie.
There was.
Yeah.
Mm,
I think. Okay.
Well,
so if
you-
you have the hamometer, I feel like I have the cheeseometer.
What would I have?
I don't know. Come up with
summarizing.
another food thing.
You
Food-based
have
meter.
the beef-o-meter, which is like the
The
scale
hunks.
of
The
beef
hunk.
beefcakes.
Oh, that's actually pretty good.
I
Yeah.
feel like you could do the beef-o-meter.
Okay.
We're
Beefcake-o-meter.
building a really weird sandwich here.
I don't know.
I'm into
Beef,
it.
ham, and cheese.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm actually
roast
kinda
beef, ham,
hungry, yeah.
cheese. You got a club sandwich going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Medium Morsels Club.
Yeah! Okay, well, get on with the ham-o-meter.
It's the sandwich bar
I
now.
thought we were doing the cheese-o-meter.
No, we got to do ham first.
Ham
Ham.
first.
You were the founding member of the
Cheese.
rating team.
The rating team. Alright, so... Ham-o-meter. Let's see here. Since it's a musical, that automatically puts it at a bare minimum of a 5.
Yes.
However, because of all the other ridiculous bonkersness that's happening, I would rate this fairly high. It's definitely an 8.
Oh, wow. See, I would call that low. I would have put it at a 9.
Well,
Maybe
I mean-
we're not quite at Army of Darkness
Yeah, we're not at
level,
Army
Yeah.
of Darkness
but
10.
we're seriously just like a little, like a hair below it.
Yeah, no, I understand
Just a
that.
hair.
Yeah. I'm still happy with an 8, I think.
Yeah.
8.5?
8.5. Like,
8.5.
8.5.
You usually do a points breakdown. Are you going to do that this time?
Well, 0.5.
I mean, 5 for the musical.
5 for the musical. Each alien gets their own point.
The math still works, and then there's the 0.5.
0.5 Jeff Goldblum's abs.
Yeah.
Well, see, but what about the fucking dance scene,
That's
right?
What's
Like,
built in
that's
the
so...
musical. The 5 points for the
Okay,
musical.
hold up. Let me reevaluate these
Yeah,
points because
yeah.
I can't do the hunkum. I can't do. Well, no, 0.5 because Goldblum, just because of Goldblum.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it-
just
who he
everything
is.
that he does.
He automatically gets points. Okay,
Yeah.
let's see here. I would say 4 points to the Blonde musical. That's
'Cause I'm a
honestly
blonde.
that moment isn't. It is a big lipped alligator moment.
Yeah, it happens, and it has no bearing on the rest of the plot, and it doesn't impact anything else that happens.
But
And
I'm
nobody
so
else-
glad it's there.
Yeah,
I'm so glad
but
it's
nobody-
there.
and nobody else acknowledges that it happened.
No, it's just a daydream.
It just happened.
They
It's
really...
like, what is this?
They really wanted to put in this number, and I support them in that decision.
Yeah.
That was the right decision.
Yeah, they couldn't find a way to organically integrate it in, so they just
Yep.
forced it.
Yeah.
Yep. So
And they were correct.
Yeah, they were.
yeah. I also it's a blonde. You know, and her eyebrows are completely dark, and I'm just like,
Well, she's obviously a bottle blonde.
Yeah, and she doesn't care.
Mhm.
Because all she have to do is jiggle.
And the thing is, she rips off somebody else's wig, and like, but you're still died.
She doesn't care.
She's a blonde. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
4 points dedicated to that song sequence alone. 1 dedicated to just the rest of the rest
The
of
musical
the
elements.
musical elements. 1 for each alien, and then 0.5 for Jeff Goldblum. So
Yeah.
8.5.
Okay.
Human
okay.
Jeff Goldblum.
Human Jeff
Yeah.
Goldblum.
All right. So now
The
the
cheese-o-meter.
cheese-o-meter.
Now you have to do the point breakdown like he does.
I don't have to do a breakdown. I don't have to do shit. If we can do vibes only.
No, he always breaks it down.
Yeah, but
You
it's
gotta break it down too.
no. This is my meter. I can
Okay,
do what
fine.
I want.
You have to at least explain how you got there.
Okay. So let us first define what cheese is.
Schmaltziness,
Yeah, it's like-
sentimentality.
Yeah, and just like the cutesy, like it doesn't have to make sense. It's just sort of
So he set his scale by putting like an extreme high
my
and extreme
God,
low
shit.
example.
So
What
what's
is
it-
the cheesiest thing I know? Oh my god, what is the cheesiest movie we know? Like, for some reason, Van Helsing was the first thing that popped into my
It's not
head, but
super
that's
sentimental,
ham.
That's ham.
Uh-huh.
See, I don't like watching a lot of sentimental movies. Does Black Beauty count?
No, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's not cheesy. Jeez, Black Beauty, the cheesiest movie I know.
I don't know. It's a cute animal movie, right?
No, have you ever seen
No, I
it?
haven't.
Jesus, babe. Jesus, babe.
Jesus.
God. Okay. Oh fuck.
We don't watch a lot of overly sentimental movies, although Down with Love is up there.
Down with Love is
That'd
pretty.
be like an 8.
Yeah.
Is Legend high on the cheese meter? Because it is very sentimental.
But it's not. It's not that schmaltzy. Like it's almost like not that. Okay, is it cheese or is it sweetness? Right? Because like
There's overlap between those two. And we're not breaking it out another
Fuck.
scale.
Cheese is like sweetness with cringe.
Yeah.
God, okay, sweetness with cringe. Well, maybe we can't introduce the cheese-o-meter until I have, like, an upper end. But I would say, if I was just going purely by vibes, it would be... I'd say it's an 8. It's a pretty cheesy movie. It's schmaltzy. I don't know how to describe it. It's like Velveeta cheese.
Yeah, it is sentimental and silly and
it's just got this certain kind of element.
It's gooey, it gets all over the place, and it's delicious.
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
And I would say this is either an 8 or a 10. I guess you could say this could be like My Army of Darkness, but
For the cheese?
the cheese-o-meter, this could be,
It could be.
the top of the cheese-o-meter.
I feel like there's other cheese. I feel like
Things that are cheesier.
Yeah, I think there are.
Okay, well, we'll come back to that.
Pinned at an 8 for
Yeah.
now.
And what about the beef-o-meter?
The beef-o-meter.
The beef-o-matic.
Yeah, beef-o-matic. Purely based on a gut thing, I'm going to go for like a 7.5.
Oh.
Like, it's pretty good, but I'm not going to put it in like the upper echelons of beef.
It's also like the 90s or late 80s beef where this is
lean
very
beef.
lean beef, which honestly that's my preferred beef. I like the lean bean but muscular look.
Okay, but that's not even why I'm docking points.
Ian, are you okay?
Yep.
Because like we do get shirtless Jeff Goldblum with a fair frequency, but he's basically it. The other two aren't objectified, really.
Yeah.
Other than being
Yeah.
like, oh look, they're cute, and yeah, sure.
But they know where their prized beef is.
They know where their prize beef is,
Yeah.
but it is not the most beefcakiest movie I've
Yeah.
ever seen in my entire life.
So it's still
I would
an
say
8?
7.
Oh, a 7? Okay.
I
That's
said
still
7,
pretty high.
7.5. Well, but you got to consider
It's the premium.
It's premium prime.
what you do get is quality, and it's on a sliding scale. So you got to consider all the things that fall below a 5, which is average.
Yeah, that's true. And they do find plenty of excuses for him to get his shirt off. And sometimes they don't even have an excuse. And
He's
I'm
just shirtless, yeah.
again, I support that
Also,
decision.
on the lady side, just tits galore.
Oh yeah.
So many boobs.
The ladies are so good looking.
Yeah.
They're really
So I think that's it.
Yeah. Well, I was also going to say I feel like this is junk.
Yeah,
And
it's junk
it's
food.
cotton candy, but it's also like it's really good junk.
Yeah.
It's like the junk you really crave, like Domino's pizza or whatever. I don't know if not Domino's.
Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut is the good fast food pizza.
And it's cheesy.
Yeah.
Just like this
Yeah.
movie. So this is like the premium of junk food.
Yeah, it's like good junk food.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Do we have 4 meters?
Stop. We're ending the episode.
No, we have
No,
we
I
have
want to end the
cheese.
episode. We have another one to do, and I'm hungry.
We should also
too.
like yeah. Well, I was just gonna say
cheese too much.
we should have like a tagging system, and so we have like the 3 meters, and then like just tag them with like junk food or gourmet or
yeah.
whatever. But we'll figure that out later.
Outro.
So, please, if you haven't watched Earth Girls Are Easy, it is an experience. I think it's a good experience. I don't know what you'll think, but
Speaking as somebody who is reluctant to watch it, just go ahead and watch it. You might surprise yourself. I did.
it will be a surprising experience, and you'll learn something about yourself by watching it. And if you have watched it, please talk to me about it. I need somebody to talk. That's why I keep showing it to people, because I'm like, God, I need somebody to know.
Somebody else
to
must
know. So I would love to hear if you've watched it, and if this is your first time, what'd you think? And if you saw it like sometime earlier in life, like when? And what'd you feel about it? I want to know. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and put those dishes in the sink. We could probably wash them now. Get ready for the next morsel. But you don't have to worry about that, dear listener. You can go ahead and head on home, and if there is somebody who you think would enjoy this podcast and the weird shit we watch, go ahead and invite them to the table next time, and we will happily save you a seat.